Okay, so let's start. Welcome everyone, and beautiful to see so many new faces. As usual, we start with the tea. That's why we are here, to have tea and then casually speak about these other things as well. So first and most important, let's just say cheers.
Cheers. Cheers with beautiful cups.
Yeah. She's there. Oh, wow. Christian has the same bottle as us over here. Many colors. Cool. Yeah. So, today we have everybody's. Anna is coming again. Today we have everybody's favorite topic, I guess. It's the eternal topic we cannot stop thinking about, right?
which came quite unexpectedly because we announced a little bit in the last minute by by having had a little escape holiday to one of the richest places of Côte d'Azur. We went to Saint-Tropez, and then the money topic really showed up
In its full
its
glory.
full colors.
Yeah. So, well, for my part, I have left US kind of in 2013, and after having several very successful businesses, and I kind of stopped thinking about these things. Especially, I stopped thinking about Bentleys and kind of those kinds of yachts and who is going to come with the bigger yacht and those kinds of things. And then all of a sudden I realized, well, I haven't cleared all of the issues around this because I still get a little bit triggered by that competition, that when it kind of happens in my face. So it was really interesting drive back that we kind of looked, oh, wow, okay. I thought that everything was cleared there, but still some of it was kind of active, and very quickly we transmuted it. So of course it was very nice, but those things hide themselves very deeply, sometimes more deep than we initially are able to understand. Well, at least in my case. But to begin with, I would like to hear from you guys what is the question number one that you have about money? What is for you active now? I know we kind of spent years in dealing with this and clearing and understanding, and we have reached quite an interesting point on understanding in our work now with it. But what is the question that's active for you guys now, connecting to money itself? Yes, David.
I think it's very relevant for many people nowadays with the coronavirus, as many people are starting their business.
But it's for you, David, for you.
Oh yeah, well, for me as well, because I'm trying to stop being a translator. At least just keep it in the background and focus on my next big thing. But it's always in my mind, like a little bit of scarcity mode, or how am I going to earn money in the next months if I give up translation? Maybe not fully, but in my case or other people, it could be that I just completely give up. So yeah, discussing that topic of making the shift, jumping into the unknown is, especially related to financial concern, is one of my interests.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's very much relevant to to many people, and we have a little answer for that. Yeah.
Miriam.
Well, for me, the question is, why am I allergic to money? Why don't I want to have money? I'm getting my pension soon, and I think, oh my God, I have to think about what do I do with all that money, because I don't care about rich things, and I don't want to be into that, but I'm kind of allergic. So it's the other way around.
Interesting.
Completely understand. Okay, thank you so much. Hannah.
one question that's quite active for me is one of the parts since my father passed, like I feel I'm lacking that male energy in my life to make it happen. And then also, like, I knew from all the years, I'm floating around with my projects, and I just do what brings me joy, and I'm very committed to making money out of this energy. And I know I can make quite a lot of money with that. When I host a retreat, a lot comes in for more months. But what I've not been able to master is to direct the timing. So it would come in whenever it wanted to. And this year it's quite not so handy because the timing is not showing up. And I'm kind of asking myself, when will the timing be, universe? Like, I really kind of start getting into a need for it to show up. So that's quite, yeah. I'm curious what you're saying about it.
Good.
Wonderful.
Yes. So
Thank you, Anne.
Lisa had a question, and Anne.
Lisa and Anne. And then Ev. Okay. So I think actually Anne's hand was up first. So we go with Anne, then Lisa, then Ev.
Okay, so my question is, because I don't actually want to be part of that game anymore. I feel it's dirty. So at least aspects of me think that way. And how can I have money because I need it in the life? But part of me is really resisting to be actually even part of that game, So that's my question: how to survive in this world at the moment where the money is still here.
Okay, a little bit like Miriam, not wanting to deal with it really, yeah. Cool. Thank you, Anne. And Lisa.
Hey, what is it when you like forward, and yes, I second that motion and I third that motion from Anne and Miriam as well. I have an absolute disrespect for money, and using money, all of it, it doesn't sit with me. And it's that, my question is actually, not that I really want it answered, but how can I find respect for this thing that I see as a scourge that should not be here? So without going all religious and what have you. Yes, because I came from money and turned my back on money. For whatever reasons. So
Great. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
It's a great question. It's super, super great question. I love it. We will definitely answer it. And Ev?
Hi, everyone. Great to all see you here. Money. My question around money is about more the somatics of it. Where in the body can you feel, or have you found that the blockages or things reside most around money? Knowing that, the root chakra and the whole relation to creativity and how that and flows. I'd love to hear your perspectives on that.
Thank you. Great.
Okay.
Okay. Here's Miki. Miki, tell us, what's your current question number one with money?
My question number one is, I try to treat it as an energy, which means it flows, and that has to be both directions. But when I don't have it, I'm grasping for it, and when I do have it, I'm hoarding it. So, how to use that word respect? How do I respect that flow and just trust that it will continue?
Right.
Yes, that's very much in the topic. Yes.
Thank you. Beautiful. Anna and then Isabel.
Well, my question is, what can we do to ease the normal, easy flow of money in our life, and then to be able to with the money contribute contribute to other people's lives, eat like we sleep. There's also enough money for us, for people we work with, and that's all easy. And so what can we do to make it easy, to make that easy flow, and not making a big deal of it, but just it flows easy, smoothly? What can we do to reach that? That's the question.
Great. Thank you, Anna. Definitely. Isabel.
In French?
Yeah, you can say in French and then we'll translate.
Ok. C'est pourquoi l'argent n'arrive pas à être un but pour moi.
Pourquoi l'argent n'arrive pas à être but?
N'arrive pas à être un but pour moi. J'en ai, je le distribue et je n'arrive pas à me dire je fais les choses pour gagner l'argent.
So Isabel's question is, why can't I put money as my goal? When I have it, I spend it, but I cannot focus on making it for the sake of making it. Ben oui.
Great question.
On va te répondre, tu verras. Yes, so this is very much also in the topic. Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful.
Did anyone else have questions, or we dive right in? We dive right in. Okay. So, well, this topic kind of connects quite directly to our topic of last week. And last week was living light, and it was about finding what your true goal and true purpose is. And by the way, those of you who are still waiting to get your hidden talent little reading that we promised, we haven't forgotten about you. We are working on it, and you will get it during the week.
Because it's quite a process to dig it out under layers and layers, so it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah. But it ties very, very directly to the goals and true purpose. And I think we can actually start by introducing the concept of money being. Money being, we are lots of us are connected to some sort of shamanic work, and we know that we represent in shamanism energies in a form of spirit animals, power animals, and stuff like that. And we find very useful to actually look at the energy of money as a money being, a being that has certain characteristics, and it has certain aspects of a living energy that behaves in a certain way, and actually through it existing for so long, it has received, it is an entity that has received a certain level of consciousness. And if we learn how to deal with that consciousness, how to recognize it and work with it, we get a pretty advanced way to actually understand it and disconnect it with preferences, fears, bad experiences we had, and all those things that tie us in a negative way with it.
Some months ago, during a workshop here, we actually did a constellation to understand better what kind of energy is money, because we also had our little judgments about it and opinions. So we wanted to make it clear once and for all, and to really feel what it is beneath what we think of it, or what meanings we give to it. And so we did a very powerful constellation, and it revealed very unexpected aspects of this being, because when so many people focus their energy on one topic, it becomes an egregor. It becomes, not a fully conscious, independently conscious, but it is a conscious energy, and it has a consciousness and characteristics of its own. So if you think of money being as a person, as a friend who would, friend or just a person that comes and goes into your life, you'll understand that by treating it as a person or as, a creature, you will more easily adapt your behavior.
The point from that constellation that really surprised us is that the money was very disappointed in us, in people. And he's saying, what do you want from me? like you are the ones who are completely misusing me. You are the ones who are completely created all this mess. I am kind of ready to co-create and like to work and
I'm
be
energy.
used,
Yeah.
but you're using me in like disrespectful ways, and you're using me as a means to kind of do unsavory deeds. So it's all it's your fault, and give me a break. Like he's like that. It was a little angry, really, how we treated, and and telling that this is our own fault.
It's a very dynamic energy, and what it in its purest form. So we'll describe you this money being in its purest form, regardless of those projections that we usually have around it, because it really revealed that it's not about the money itself; it's about what people do with it that makes it weird, and.
So this directly already kind of partially plugs into Lisa's question how to get out that disrespect. It's not about the money itself. It's about what people have used it for. And this is actually what we tend to hate, is how it has been used as a leverage for certain outcomes. However, we will have now completely we will review where we stand with
exactly, Lisa. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Exactly.
Well,
so that the energy of the money being is very dynamic. It's very active. So you can think of it as a very kind of beautiful, elegant, smart, and attractive and active woman. The one that dresses in a very smart way, is sharp and ever present. It's surprisingly has more of a feminine energy than masculine, and the way it moves in and out of people's lives is also very feminine. It has the capriciousness or unpredictability of a woman. It's very, very electric but not chaotic. So the way it works, the money being has a goal of its own. All it wants is to spread to the largest scale possible. So money being has its favorites. The favorites are dynamic, probably young people who are eager to expand, because money wants to be multiplied and it wants to be expanded. So you can imagine a young trader or young startup guys, they really easily make money and easily get to the next level, because they have this compatible dynamic energy where money being actually joins in, because she, with her own agenda, wants to have expression through those people. So it always circulates within those business kind of environments, but only the ones that try to make it bigger, because it's looking for expansion.
At the other hand, it hates being hoarded. Like being hoarded and being trapped and kind of like looked at in the bank account and doing nothing. It really it makes it dead. This living energy that wants to expand itself feels trapped, and it tries to escape in any possible way.
So for example, if anyone, or if you have a plan, okay, let me get enough money and then I will not work for the rest of my life, the money being says that's a trap.
It's a trap being held for
it's
to
like
come
a
in.
bag being held. No, I'm not gonna walk in that, because it senses already beforehand that it's a dead end. So the money will not come to something that feels like a dead end. Same if money is kept in the bank, savings, etc. Well, every now and then there are huge crises where money sips under the door and just goes out of the banks. Even if it's just numbers, but in theory that energy really is creating as much tension as possible to burst out and move all inflations, deflations, changes in currency, is that because money wants expansion and it's not allowed to?
Well, part of it, of course, is kind of try to be moved by monetary policies and stuff like that. But the actual consciousness of its own within the money makes it completely unpredictable, because economists really don't know what's going on. What the hell is going on? They kind of have a little bit of understanding, but at the end of the day, it's unpredictable. So.
So for a long time, like since the beginning of creation of money, it had its own agenda to follow of expansion, expand to however far it's possible, and to fill every space on Earth. Well, I think that is done. This part of the process is achieved. So now, and in particular in this moment, that money consciousness actually is looking for something next, because it has conquered the planet. It's everywhere, and it has reached its expansion in number
In a physical way,
in a physical way.
So the next step
is refinement. The next step, the money wants to be involved in something that gives it more consciousness, more beauty, and more sort of elevated emotions. So now the money being is looking to back up people and projects who will involve it in some beautiful transformation, like elevating,
if they're willing,
state.
if they're not hating it and saying, okay, well, let somebody else deal with that. So then it will default to whatever is offered for it to keep the energy going. But it's now looking for the sophistication, more sophistication and more refinement.
So it in a very near future, this money energy will be actively supporting all kind of creation processes.
Well, which is it now as well.
Yeah. Creation rather than just multiplying it. But there is one thing that the money being doesn't include in the equation. It's that it is good for the planet, or good for people, or for some noble cause. It doesn't have a notion of something noble, like I want to help the planet or whatever. It's purely energetic. It doesn't have a state of consciousness. It will not come to you because you're doing good, or you're helping, or you have some noble goals. If you want to work with the money being as a partner and wanted to come in a constellation, it was very, very clear and very interestingly shown that if you have a concrete project that is, sustainable in a way that it creates beauty and it creates money as well, and it creates benefit. So the money being doesn't care how good it is for the humanity. It cares about being beautified, because of these projections of evil that it has received. Now it wants to explore a little bit the other side and actually be called in for beautiful creations. So it can't be called in. I have such a humanitarian project. It doesn't mean much to that money energy, but I have a project that will I don't know,
that will
create a beautiful
beauty.
Retreat center.
Yes.
That, by the way, also serves humanity.
And that there will be a lot of joy energy. You see, greed energy is very low in vibration, but because this was what was available for money to expand, well, it went with that. But now if you offer joy energy as the co-creation for within the project, and calling in the money to kind of co-create, well, this is a higher level of energy that it will gravitate towards much more. So the higher the frequency of the emotion, the more of it will be attracted to us. If there's none, well, it will go back to greed because it needs some food. So this is where it's at right now.
Um, the constellation also showed that as everything in our system and society has to evolve and change from one to the next stage. So from being treated as evil, it really now wants to refine its vibration until probably disappearing for good, because also money has its cycle of evolution, and when it reaches the highest energetic degree possible, when then it no longer, well, the cycle is completed, and maybe then we go on somehow differently. But for now, it's in this ascension process of can humans turn it around and consider as a means of exchange, and actually can humans bend the laws that hold it back from them? Can they bend the internal laws and actually make it follow them? So you can, when you think about the money being as this, elegant, smart, independent woman, for example, then you can understand your question about how to keep it, or how to call in, or why it's there, why it's not there. Think of it as a friend. So would you want to be friends with needy people? You would rather, every time I come near, they grab me, So that needing money is like being a needy friend. That's not very much fun to be around, because it always feels like a little trap. Rejecting it also is not a good friend. Why would you be friends with someone who rejects you, or someone who thinks badly about you? That's why money is usually very much friends with people who are neutral, who are just cool and joyful, and say, well, let's do something together. And when it's fun to do things together, well, it comes easily, and and seemingly enjoying the process, because it gets particles of that energy of joy while co-creating. So you can think of terms of what kind of friend are you for
this beautiful, this, elegant woman
who doesn't need you as such, who really doesn't need you unless you can really offer something for its expansion. So for the time being, just for the sake of exercise, we could actually consider being friends with it, because together, beautiful things can be created and can happen.
So about the quality of the emotion, I had an example. Actually, how do you want to go there? The quality of the emotion that is actually associated with working with money.
So yes. So just to close this perspective of the money being, really imagine who are you towards that being, and how fun would you be to work with or to be friends with, yeah? And think of also about the timing or the situations through which it would come. It comes when it feels invited and non-obliged, exactly like a human would do, exactly like an independent woman would do. She comes when it's interesting, and she wouldn't when it's kind of obliged.
And definitely wouldn't want to be trapped, yeah?
Yeah, definitely don't want to be trapped or saved or something. So that is really the flow. It's a dynamic force that flows through the planet currently, and for the time being that exists, it has to be dynamic and go in and out freely. And we will see why is it not that easy. Because there are huge forces actually behind the money, and those of you who are sensitive and who feel those forces behind, it feels a little bit yucky, it feels a little bit like a trap, and not even hidden manipulation. Yeah. So money is in hands of huge egregores that offer that in exchange of your life energy, except that the proportions of life energy needing to be given for a little fraction of money in return, it's completely disproportionate.
So the way where it has been misused and the way where actually this misalignment happens is with this projected idea that there is certain amount of lack of it, and that there is a zero-sum game, and that you need to exchange your energy for whatever, however little I can get, because I need to survive. So this is, it's kind of like other things. They have been implanted gradually into us through the schooling and through the culture, the notion that we need to have something that's called jobs and those kinds of things. You know, attaching that there is not enough, so that you have to cheaply sell your life energy to somebody else's goals. So this is where
And
the
that is
misunderstanding
not cool,
is. Misunderstanding is that there's not enough of it, and that you have to do something in order to survive, and then to apply your life energy to somebody else's goals. And that's precisely a scenario where the money will never come in enough quantity, because it's initiated by the guys who have made that company, that you will kind of work for their interests and not for your own. So they might attract a lot of it, but you know, if you have been kind of invited to sell your life energy to a company, well, you have nothing to do with creation of that money. So there's no way that this could work. Let me see who made there's a question here.
And I'll answer.
Yeah.
So very, very important notion to understand about the current situation of money is that besides it being, as we just described, there are huge forces using, you know, a little bit of smokes and mirrors to distort the reality about it. The reality that there is enormous amounts of money, and it would be enough, of course, for everyone. But the way that is set up is to induce this feeling of not enoughness, and that if you want to access, you have been indicated, you know, like 3 doors how to get there. And this is what's really enraging about money, and why you might feel repulsed towards it, because you feel that you are guided through those 3 doors where none of them actually suits you, and then nothing, and then it seems like there's only, if you want to get money, well, you have to go through the corridor that you hate. Then I better stay without. I stay on my side in my integrity. Except that why is this created? It's created by these giant egregores that, of course, have a interest of controlling the whole humanity and society. But what is also true is that this energy is not obeying only those manipulative forces, but because it has been said that way, we don't even think that we could create our own door, you know? It's either it exists something that's there and I don't like it, but very few people actually dare to crop their own door in the wall and use that. And when they do, it really creates a sub egregore that is obliged to follow, because somebody dared to step out of this conditionment of scarcity, impossibility, etc.
Something interesting came up. Amber asked that just says that money just get printed, and actually what's interesting here is to understand that even that is not money. That is being printed is a representation of this energy, but this is not money. This is like a stamped piece of paper that represents a little fraction of the money energy. We're talking about this energy that is behind this whole thing. And when we talk about how we are going to work with it, invite it, and cooperate with it, it doesn't even involve this printed thing. Printed things will come because this is the way that the Treasury Department has decided to work with it. So it stamps something. But there are loads of money that are not even in the form of those printed little things. First of all, most of it is not even printed. Second, there are these other representatives of money, such as cryptocurrencies and, like agreement-based currencies between people. So you can look at it as somebody's attempt to do something politically when they hand you a stamped piece of paper. But the money that we're talking about is what even drives them. And it's not printed money for sure. This is just one little representation of it, yeah? Yes, Lisa, you have a question.
So what you're saying then is just to be able to make when you're talking about the energy of money, you know, sitting behind, and it's like, okay, we're not looking at paper, then we're not looking at what the paper is linked to, which could be oil or could be gold. Yeah. We're going back even before when we started hanging on to silos of grain and then stamping on bits of tin to say, here's your silo of grain. Are you talking about the energy of the money now, going right back to the point of first exchange, I have this and I exchange that for you?
Here's what we are trying to talk about. We're trying to talk about you being able to create enormous amount of wealth by doing something that is good for, a great number of people, for example. And they want to somehow energetically involve with you and kind of return the service in some way. So currently they will do it with energy of money. And they will look, okay, so what is the energy of money available? So if they have bitcoins, they will give you 100 bitcoins. If they have paper money, they will give you paper. If they have gold, they'll give you gold. It doesn't matter what they give you. But the matter is how the exchange of energy is being actuated, you see?
Ultimately, and we feel very strongly, there will be time that we will pay each other with specks of life energy, yeah? And that is a real currency when we will know how to estimate the exchange in direct life energy, because even a tiny speck of our life energy is worth in paper money, hundreds of thousands. If you look a little bit into behind the curtain about the money, listen to some Sasha Stone videos about it, you will see the interesting things that every person on planet is being traded in stock market, for example, for a very, very, very high money. So you are being traded to your actual value. So do your research and see how that life force is actually valued. But of course, the straw man, exactly. And it's not being talked about, and nobody knows what our life energy's value really is.
But again, this is a little bit of a digression, because that's one of the ways how some banks operate and traders operate. It's not really our topic here. They can do it their way, and they can kind of create their own profit however they want. But what's important for us here is to really understand how the money energy operates in order to kind of bring about more of it and easily in our lives. That's what we are after. So that we don't have to, who cares what these guys are doing? They found some loopholes. If we are aware of them, we avoid them, or we kind of don't even include them in our life. But what's important is that we get how this works.
Yeah, so that was the part of Smoke and Mirrors where the real kind of value and truth is being, heavily influenced and hidden. So then the question is, what about the money is in your control? Like really where, which part of it is in your control? If you don't have control of how to systematically and on purpose bring it in or anything, but there's one thing that is in your control, and that is how you feel about it. This is the feeling about the money that you can choose what to have. Of course, we have been preconditioned with how we're supposed to feel about it, you know,
because it
scarcity, not
serves
enough.
exactly it serves certain groups of people, companies, businesses that we feel disempowered by it, so that you will sell your life energy cheaply. So first thing that we need to understand is, that's why Evia actually mentions this, that when we are born we are kind of worth our weight in gold. So you can imagine, okay, literally 1 hour of your engagement in life worth $100,000. For the sake of argument, always have this in mind. If you're paid less than $100,000 per hour, you're underpaid. So it's a good rule of thumb to understand. If then you are getting a bad deal if you're being paid less than $100,000 per hour. So this is how we can start, yeah. And then from that point on, let's see how we can attract in our life. This is in a form of energy. So one thing that is in your control is to re-access your feeling about money, how you feel about it, and you will be super empowered if you even understand even this, that 1 hour of your time is worth 100,000 or more. So this is how we start.
Yeah, and you can really put it in a way that it's not that the world is underpaying you. You are under asking.
You're agreeing to a low price, yes.
Because you had no idea of how, what is the real value. So the feeling around money, being by default the scarcity, not enough, difficult, I have to do something that I don't like. So that's the common agreement around it, for the sake of having this society going on as it does at this moment. But you really do have power to choose how you feel about it, and to actually drop those blockages one by one. Of course, they are imprinted in you, which is the beliefs. Of course, they are fixed somewhere in the body, which, to answer Ev's question, where in the body? The first chakra, about survival, it holds these beliefs of scarcity, not enough, I must, it's attached to my value as a male, or I must provide, I have obligation. But also in the second chakra, which is the creation, is compromised by this urge and need and obligation to perform. So what is attached in the body is not the energy of money. It's attached everything we think wrong about it. That is what is in the body. So when we clear the second chakra of all those manipulations, and I've done extensive work on people who had such fear of let's say losing everything, that they thought if the money really drops down to a certain level, they would rather die than face their own kind of bankruptcy. And it's stronger, and they don't mean it with the head, but it's an actual physical feeling, that the dread of being homeless or without resources is so overwhelming that they can't live with it.
Exactly.
And that is in the body.
So that fear is being perpetuated. So it's almost like a carrot and stick. So fear of homelessness is a stick. Yeah. So
fear of comfort and absence of pain is the promise of comfort and ease in life is the carrot, and the fear of poverty is deeply ingrained, and we carry it from lifetime to lifetime. This extreme unpleasantness of being stuck, being absolutely with no means to sustain ourselves.
And thank you, Miki. Exactly, those 4 cards that you drew, exactly. 1 is about clearing unhealthy beliefs, and 3 are about reassurances that we can feel safe, have a peace of mind, and know our needs will be met. So yeah, definitely, this is actually the work.
So, Anne, yes, current water. You're very close. This is a little bit secret part of our research.
For now, until we actually have it
and
fully.
At some point we will bring it to life. But literally there is a big correlation between water and and the currency. Yes, it is. So it's a part of manifestation, and everything. Water does translate your intentions to the field of money.
And then Claudia is asking, is it based on the idea of the value of power, each good or service in reality? Like what really out of everything can be quantified?
Okay, yeah. So we will get to that. We'll get to that when we will explain what is truly to be done with. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a current. So
it's current of energy, of course.
It's not enough to declare, okay, from today I'll feel good and at ease about money. Of course you will not, because the power of what is already in you is too strong. Your vague positive feeling will never compensate for a lifetime of your own beliefs,
plus parents,
plus society,
and
parents, and plus the heavy blasting of those beliefs at the moment. So it's really, realistically, it's not possible to just think positively. You need to take yourself and surgically remove every single of those limiting beliefs, limiting anything around scarcity. Clear your first, second chakra, third with it. Call in the sun and really try to switch your mind around the concept. That is important, that the mind participates in the way you see things. If the mind understands the essence of the money and the flow, well, it will gladly say, because mind also doesn't want to be abused. It says, oh wow, I've been knocking on the wrong doors, let's do something about it. So if all of your being actually participates in a new kind of attitude about the money itself and how to use it and what for, well, in extremely powerful forces will start looking at you and saying, okay, there's one that understood. We have no choice, we have to follow it. We have to follow the person that sort of wakes up from this and starts walking its own path.
Yeah. So I can give a little example of
trap, yeah?
what is the actual trap of money. Yeah. So either depending on money or strongly desiring to have money, all of those are the strong, or having any strong emotions about the money will create something that we call excess potential. So you are strongly attached to it.
The swing, yeah? The pendulum swing.
So the swing goes into that direction, and then actually what we attract is the opposite. So the ideal position is to be somewhat of a gambler, to kind of be ready at any moment to kind of hit the jackpot and get a lot of it, or to lose everything. And to be kind of equally unattached to both of those. And from which place we can be that is from the place that with your two hands, with really following what your life's goal and your full potential for expansion is, you will be automatically creating, the money will just come into play and will come in the quantities that are needed. So not thinking about it and being attached to it before, but actually coming from that complete balanced 0 point. And this is where we need to get. Whatever we need to clear to get to that neutrality point, it's crucial to start with that.
So to explain a little bit about that two sides of the trap. So when you are too dependent of the money that you have and super afraid to lose it, so what happens? You pull the swing on one side and say, "Ooh, I have enough. I'll keep it and I'll spend just the minimum possible so that it lasts longer." What happens? It can't stand polarized that way, so it will be pulled to the other swing where you'll have to completely lose it. in order to be able to refill again, well, it might take some unexpected events, but it will create something. In the other case, Miriam is actually attracting money by being allergic to it, because that also needs to be balanced out. She's allergic to money, so she doesn't want money, and the money is coming to her because it also is an unbalanced state that needs to be balanced out. So in a way, that is one very, like, a little bit wicked way to attract money, but you have to be very sincere about it. If
You can't really pretend and say, okay, I'll just do the opposite.
If you're faking allergy to money, but actually you want it, well, not only you will not have it, that's for sure. But those people who sincerely don't need or are not interested in money, by their disinterest, they drag it to them for the sake of compensation.
But
and on the other hand, when you don't have enough money and you want more, and you're strongly kind of inviting it or trying to attract it, that also is creating the opposite forces.
The point is that money cannot be a goal. You cannot say, okay, so this is what I'm calling into my life, because it cannot be felt like this from the heart, that this is something concrete. What's concrete is, we said that it reacts to your feeling and to your inner state. So your feeling of joy and most elevated inner state actually can come when you feel like you're doing something significant and something really world-changing, yeah? So to end that endless loop of wanting and lacking money, it's really the best way to do is to identify your gift, talent, and true purpose, and the money will not have, and actually to insist on it, and the money literally doesn't have any option but to follow it.
Yeah, so when you think about your goal or what you want to create or do in your life, let's say you want to travel around the world, so obviously it requires money. So the usual way of thinking, when I will have enough money, or I will do something I don't like or something I partially like, and when I have enough money, I'll travel around the world. Except that it doesn't work that way. If you are saving up for your dream, and especially if there's this connotation that in order to get my desire fulfilled, I will get the money to do it first. If that is the equation, well, it's a guarantee that it will not happen that way. And the money, even if you build it up, will suddenly be spent for something else, something unexpected and something other. And at the end, you'll have nor the money nor the trip around the world. So the way it works, to fulfill your dream, you need to have the feeling of what it is that you are calling in your life. And it can't be money for one simple reason, because the heart does not identify that as a quantity. It cannot quantify. Heart doesn't feel it. It's an abstract notion.
Yeah, you see that we haven't even felt that it's a beautiful woman. We felt it in some sort of very disturbed ways. So we cannot really want it because we don't have a clear connection with it. Later we might, when we develop actually that we feel its frequency. So go ahead.
So your heart can feel what you want with it. Your heart can feel a beautiful house, a trip, I don't know, a retreat center, anything that is tangible. Actually, the heart can feel how it would feel about it, but it cannot feel the money. So that's where it will not back up the wish. And also, because money is more of an abstract value than concrete, then energetically it just doesn't happen on the same floor. Yeah, that's why. But it can make things worse. If you're calling in for money, it can really create some awful things in your life, because those checks that you're told to write in manifestation books. Write yourself a check of $1 million. Well, imagine if the universe does take it seriously. Not only it will not give you a bag out of the blue sky with $1 million in it, it will at the best give you the energy and the ideas. Okay, so that's quite a good thing if you are asking for $1 million and insisting on it. So the universe says, okay, so let me give you a revolutionary idea that will eventually bring you to that amount of money. And then you are not vigilant enough because you're expecting somewhat of inheritance or a direct bag of money, and you skip on the part where actually you're given either a super genius idea that you kind of dismiss, or you're given an energy to start creating something that would bring that money. So if you miss on one or the other, well, actually, then you have to pay that amount in energy back to the universe for a non-used potential. So that's why calling in an abstract value and not being instructed or prepared of how to spot that opportunity that is coming in your way, and it's very non-obvious and non-straightforward. You might have a nudge to do something, but it will not be something like somebody calls you and wants you to be the star actress in the movie. It's much less obvious. It's a tiny hint. Where is the little split in the reality that you could start walking and creating some alternative path? And if you miss on that, it will create a huge disbalance energetically. So that's why the best and the safest and the only way, according to how we see things, is to find your purpose, find what excites you in life, find your talents will help you with that, and start moving in that direction. And when you start moving in that direction, this is where you're cropping the fourth door in the wall that was not there before. And this is where those forces that have been magnetized to make you believe that there are only three choices, how to get to money, these same forces will have to say, they found out. Okay, let's give this one, because they have to follow. That's a universal law. And
also having in mind that all of these misalignments about beliefs around money have to be cleared. So if you only do this, but your whole body is radiating, I hate money and I don't want it, and I have grudges against that, well, you will be calling both things at the same time. So there are two things. One is to really find what is that true purpose, gift, and goal, and single-mindedly go in that direction with whole passion and understanding that the universe supports completely this. And parallel process is clearing whatever are unalignments that have been accumulated, almost like the coffee cup. We clean the residue of the coffee from the cup in order to have a clear cup to actually create the new coffee, yeah? So this is like two sides of what we need to do at the same time.
So in a way, if you want to get money, you have to not think about money, but you have to think about what is the coolest thing you can do in your life. Like really, what would make you feel alive and joyful? And we spoke about it last time. And when you identify that feeling and start walking that way, and you keep your thoughts only on the goal, only on where you want to be. And if you keep your thoughts only on the goal, the money will have to follow. That is a universal law. For now, we're very used to think that it is what it is and how it is because this is how we see it, but it's not the only thing that exists. It's not because you don't see it or nobody tells you that it's not there. You can examine quickly the list of billionaires of the planet, and you will see that behind each billionaire, what is truly there is that they have somehow walked their path and followed their passion, whether it would be Microsoft or Facebook or however it turns out, however is the result, but they have accumulated richnesses by walking really their path. Even if you have seen Freddie Mercury and Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie, the minute that he didn't compromise on with the radio station guy and said, well, I'm gonna sing my 7-minute song anyway, you know, and if you don't want it, I'll find someone. You see how it was a turning point in the whole career, that he didn't compromise on the vision and on the dream. So this is what bends the laws that exist and creates a new laws that have to follow your intention, because there's nothing more powerful in this existence than your pure intention aligned with your soul's path. That is the most powerful thing on earth, and everything else has to follow. So if you don't compromise on your goal, original goal, and don't kind of break it down in something smaller or something that's within your reach or within your possibility, you create like a vacuum behind you that sucks in every possible mean for you to succeed, including the money, which becomes then accompanying attribute to the goal.
So
it can also be people.
That's what it is. It's just an attribute that comes together to make that vision happen. That's what it is. Especially when we called it in. So you say, okay, let's go and have some fun together and create that. And calling it in as like a living being. And it comes to actually have fun together with you.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen it. We have seen it with people who have done, they don't necessarily see it that way, but they have kind of done something that was successful. Then they lost it all. Then they've done it again. Then they lost it. We have a number of clients that have gone through bankruptcies 3-4 times. As a matter of fact, when I was in US, what I was asked in order to get in some sort of little bigger projects was, have you ever bankrupted before? And I said, well, no. Well, the answer was, well, you're not ready then yet to do business with me, because you have to understand that this going bankrupt is yet another little thing that you go through, and then everything continues. Nothing really happens. As a matter of fact, it's a benefit of the financial system that allows us to make mistakes and then you do it again. So it's very, very interesting how these guys don't mind going through bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm. Because fear is actually the most powerful emotion there is, like on material plane. And it's so powerful that having even a tiny bit of fear about money snaps you immediately on the timeline where whatever could have been there is no longer. Because the fear of money will bring more of lack of money. If you have some sort of savings and you see the amount melting by week, by month, and nothing really coming in, well, want it or not, a little engine of anxiety switches on, and it's subtle at the beginning because it's anxiety mixed with hope, yeah. And the more that amount decreases, more there is anxiety, less there is hope, till we actually hit the I'm freaking out, point. And that freaking out point is actually the really beginning of the end, because to go the full cycle and be liberated of the fear of anxiety, you'll have to lose absolutely everything you have, including your dress and guitar.
You might not need to, yeah.
If that is not addressed on time,
exactly.
If it's not kind of flipped over on time, it has to go full way. And only the full loss will bring the liberation from that fear and understanding that, okay, how I thought being without money is much less worse than...
And don't think that suicide is actually a solution. That soul will be dragged back in and actually immediately into the same sort of even worse life scenario to get that level of humbleness. So no solution whatsoever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So understanding that fear that takes over the hope is asking for transmutation, asking for liberation. So if you can do it on time without physically going to hit the rock bottom, then you can, from that new neutral space, you can then steer it the way you want.
Lisa is asking Joy. Yes, we showed in one of our teas that chart of emotions. Joy is among the highest emotions, that is, like, we can say 100,000 times more empowering in energy than fear. So,
And who wouldn't want to be friends with a joyful person, right? Because joyful person is not needy, not demanding, not clinging on, and not grabbing by the neck. It's cool to be friends with joyful person. So the money being is also choosing joyful individuals to walk alongside, because it gets its freedom and the specks of joy imprinting it.
We have seen it here with our friends that we have who are kind of successful in different ways. So you see that there are a group of people who are really easily, well, you know, they've made their success financially by actually gambling a little, and they don't put such importance of this what they've made. They just, the thrill is to kind of keep doing and keep making even more and keep kind of, you know, it came out of nothing. Well, if I lose everything, I will create it again. As opposed to other group that was painstakingly with a lot of effort, you know, usually, I don't know, technical professionals who have built their, I don't want to even name the professions because we have some of those professions, but slowly building up to there, and they have this non-ease to put it in other projects. So there's a little bit of fear going on, and of course everything goes much slower. But yeah, you can illustrate if you want.
So yesterday, being in Saint-Tropez, we were on that beach where those most famous worldwide beach clubs exist, and you have to pay to get in. Coca-Cola bottle costs 15 euros, and everything is like ultra, those champagne bottles of 4,000 euros. So when there was a epoch where I was going to those places and being invited in those places, and the amount of money and people reacting to it was very curious, because I had two types of friends or people who had a lot of money. And ones were those who exerced a profession, let's say, a very good dentist or doctor who build their career and money in one and the same steady way. And they were pesting against the prices and every money going out of their pocket. And then the one, and plus feeling entitled and kind of superior and snobbish. And the other category were people who started with nothing. They had this humbleness that Anna mentioned.
And I'll tell you, Lisa, what humbleness I mean.
And ease and, lightness about things, because they have started with nothing. They understand the rules of the game, why things cost expensive, because that's a natural selection. They could be there, or they could be eating in a snack, it wouldn't matter. And this ease about them actually made it... cool to be with them. And if I was a money being, I would definitely know where to go. I would go with people who are having fun with me. And those humble, ultra successful, smart guys who have made money with ease and are looking for the next cool thing to do with it. It's there's some sense of adventure around it, and also a great freedom.
And Lisa is asking what kind of humbleness. It's not the humbleness that I am,
I don't need anything ever.
It is humbleness in a way. I don't control life. I don't control nature, and I'm okay with that. I play with it. And, I let it bring into my life, what it needs to bring. That type of humbleness, of surrender. That's what I mean. And this is humbleness of saying, if I have fun with this money being that is this luxurious party-loving woman, well, whatever comes my way, I accept it. What did you want to scroll down?
Just a little bit.
Here?
Who said that?
No.
Who said that?
This was Lisa, yeah.
Yeah. So you're describing really holding the slutty, beautiful woman.
Only slutty, I wouldn't use that expression.
Well, she knows what she wants.
Yeah.
And she doesn't compromise, because we have Zana here, who is a little bit of an expert of talking to that money being, and we have sometimes we talk with the money being on behalf of a person who wants to know their relationship with money, and the money actually tells what you are doing wrong, why she doesn't want to be friends with you. So Zana is often incarnating the money being, and she says it's no too many words, just pure business. Being very rational, down to the point, not too many kind of flowery prayers.
Will I have fun? What is my benefit here? Will I grow? Very simple questions.
Am I treated with respect? Am I included?
Will I have fun?
Will I have fun? Yeah. It doesn't need too many songs or just very practical.
Amber is asking about donations, receiving and giving. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, you see why every successful businessman heavily invests in charity. Charity, supporting causes, donating to sports events, because that accumulating wealth, when you really start accumulating wealth, starts creating this excess potential. If there's too much of energy in one place, it has to be either given or kicked out of that one place.
And there is actually an interesting point, with some people that we are sometimes in contact with. Soon after a certain level, it starts even getting difficult to spend that, because this is like, okay, so what are you going to have? There are no more cars that cost even close to anything that's meaningful, or, planes or whatever. So at one point, it's like really, it has to be a bigger goal. It has to be charity, has to be something larger, because there's no way to cycle that much.
So definitely the giving creates the movement for receiving at any level of your income. At any level of the income, sincere giving from the heart with no expectation starts the movement. Even the littlest thing starts the movement of being able to receive. But also the donation, if you choose where to donate, you have to somehow be involved in the result of where are you donating. Giving to the Red Cross might not really bring the best karma back. If you donate to people who are not ready to receive, will make things even worse. So you have to carefully choose. Like money can be a blessing or a curse. I have seen Balinese families who have received money that they were not ready for. They literally lost their minds. The wife went completely crazy. The health of everybody deteriorated, because it's a responsibility to handle. And when someone energetically is not capable of receiving and handling that much of new energy coming in, actually it crushes them. And those of you who live in Bali can see what happens when people of very low income are suddenly exposed to, or brought out of their little shacks into a big house or something. Their system cannot cope with it. The system cannot integrate all this new energy, which then turns into some kind of illness of a sort. So we must be very responsible to where we give, to whom we give, and how we give. Because that also is, if we give to the cause, it's almost like if we are the origin of the money and it gets invested in something that makes more of it, so we will get some sort of invisible benefit out of it. If we invest money and it's a burden for the one who receives it, we will be given some minuses. As a result.
It's a law of karma operates there as well. So, yeah. And Ev is asking about how about having a land, putting money in the land. Well, it really also depends what you're going to do with the land. The same thing. If the land is about to be developed into something that, brings more of the energy flowing, and if feelings of joy and love and, heightened feelings are created through the project that is going to be there, well, then of course it's going to be supported. If it's just stuck there because you have used it as like financial tool to kind of put it somewhere as a security, the same. It's not going to be. Imagine, would it be fun for a fun-loving, luxurious woman to be in the rice field? How happy would she be, like being in a rice field? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in general, those investments, okay, you buy land, you wait for 2-3 years, you sell it, you buy something else instead. So if everything could be just a flow, it would enhance the turnover in a way. Yeah, so the money being would love sunbathing on the beach, and if you actually turn your focus to your lifestyle, what lifestyle are you looking for? And what if you combine, so to answer Isabel's question, why can't I focus on wanting money? Because you don't have to want money. You have to want to
whatever
express
you
your
with
gift
it
in the world, to create a lifestyle. For me, I need big spaces and time, for example. That's my lifestyle. I need to live in a big space. That's it. And because it's my true feeling that this is how I want to live.
And to make it beautiful.
Yeah, and to make it beautiful. So the money comes to get a big space and to make it beautiful. So it's sort of supported in everything in my lifestyle, the way I see it happening. So if you shift this one thing right in your feeling about money, that it's a good friend that will come and help you to create the lifestyle that you are looking for, then whatever you do as your soul's true calling will be the magnet to attract those forces behind.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about that land, if your joy is to have like eco-friendly, self-sustaining complex of houses there, that works as well, because it is backed up by what makes you feel joyful. So it doesn't have to be anything luxurious or something that wastes energy, resources and stuff. If that's what your joy is, if you're truly joyful making something that is renewable energy and self-sustaining and all that, completely supported as well, as long as what you are doing is sincerely backed up by your feeling of joy and expansion. So that's another part of this. Don't think it's only luxurious because it's we gave as an example that it's a luxurious woman, but she is most sensitive to actually having joy together.
And a little being praised, because that's true. What we can build with our hands alone, let's say with a group of friends, is quite limited. What we can actually make or buy with money is a lot more. So as a general rule, everything has to be in balance. So if we go easy about things and just keep this playful attitude, well, it costs me nothing to try, it costs me nothing to be inspired or to look for that inspiration. It costs me nothing to actually question that the job is the only way to some sort of happiness. Really freeing the mind to all these possibilities is already a big step out of those conditioned ways.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you have questions or.
Mm-hmm.
or some aspects that you would like to. Of course, we could talk forever because this is a dear topic. But
this is also an introduction. We understand about through our sessions and through people that we work with. This is a big, not really fully understood topic, and I think this is going to be our next online course that is actually really working with it and kind of
in
detail what we do, how do we invite the money being, how we co-create with it, how exactly we call it in rituals, all that stuff. So, any questions, any ideas, any thoughts? How is this all sounding to you guys? Yes, Anna.
Well, I'm thinking, how is it? Is it more inviting to money? Of course, it is if you do something that is connected with lots of people. But is it all and the feelings of joy and meaning and all that you talked about? But is it also inviting? In your opinion, to money, if you think all those elevated emotions about ourselves and our families, is it also inviting? If you think of your new life with all how it should be, and with all those elevated and joyful feelings and humbleness and everything, but you think about yourself and your family, is it inviting enough for the money as well?
Yes.
Just if you have some higher causes.
Good
question. Yeah. So you want to go ahead?
Yeah. I can tell you. So there's one big mistake that we're doing when we're wanting the money to help a family member or to create something for a family member, parents or other. Yeah. So everybody has its own responsibility for that energetic alignment towards money. So there's a very interesting teaching from a very eccentric Russian guru who is super specialized in these money questions, and he gave actually a very good example how things went wrong in his life when he started helping his parents. He bought them a new bigger TV, he bought them a new car, repaired the garage, but because they were not ready to receive the money because of all possible blockages everywhere, it actually started destroying them faster than they could catch up. So the important point here, and so their subconsciousness, to stop this destruction coming their way, actually made him lose money so that he stops giving. Yeah. And he stops creating new things for someone who is like really not ready to integrate that. So you have to think in these categories that as for the money flow, well, you are responsible for it for yourself. Once your own kind of talent is expressed and you are reaching the standard of your lifestyle that you want, you include it in it your children, because they, the best gift we can give to our children is this ease about money and, this kind of normality about how to approach it, and never install any idea of scarcity and lack. So children must have everything they need to experience the energy and the benefit of money. And only then you can start looking for who in people, family or whatever who are reaching out is actually ready to receive your help. Because the important thing here is when you look at people's houses, the one who is not ready to receive money, his house is not very clean, cluttered, full of old things. The cupboards have jams from 1918, and that means that the person is living in an old energy. if that's the case of people around you, and you just throw them a lot of money, sometimes I'm thinking, I was really invested when I came to Bali. I thought, poor people, they live, the bathroom doesn't even have a mirror, but some sort of a shard of a broken mirror.
Yes, exactly.
And a dirty wall. I said, it would take me 5 minutes to paint that dirty wall white. What's the problem? But actually, we can't. We're not allowed to do that. Everybody has to come to it itself. Everybody has to have that first step of moving towards the upgrade.
We cannot.
They have to have that impulse.
We cannot rob them of their own lessons and their own journey. So if you feel that this would be a shortcut for them, still, they probably need to go to the journey themselves, because energy would be too strong to withstand.
Yeah, that happened in Haiti when there was this earthquake plus tsunami, typhoon. Yes, there is a way to help them. But you remember in Haiti, everything was kind of flattened, and they were very poor already. They lived in horrible shacks. And then the international community donated heaps of money and put nice little houses in a row for them to inhabit. They were not able to understand what to do with those houses, because it came, out of nowhere, and they hadn't built it up with their own desire. So those houses, if not stayed uninhabited, they were completely misused, and the money also.
We had that example also when those apartments were built, and they were like these migratory gypsies that were giving an apartment to kind of live in them, and then some of them used the bathtub as like the planting corn. So they would have their because they don't have any use for it. So it's really, it's just inappropriate. Ty's question is there a way to help them? So
the way to help them is actually to encourage and inspire to take an action towards something better. That's all we can do. For people we want to help, we need to set them in motion to even want to want more, to want something next in their lives. And that's where actually our money can start coming in to help, but in a very kind of co-responsible ways. Not setting it all ready, but giving it alongside of concrete steps. So this is also how universe works with you. And Anna, about your question, so how to is thinking elevated emotions and thinking about joyful things enough? No, it will only start happening when you'll start moving towards that what you are wanting. From just elevated emotions and beautiful picture in your head, nothing will happen. Exactly nothing.
You remember from the course, you have to do the first step towards that direction, and after that first step, then the door open for the support to come. Just wanting it is not enough.
And it's every success story has somewhat of this ingredient at the beginning, like Steve Jobs dropping out of university and starting his thing in garage. So it has this element of risking the safe option and going for what you really truly feel like, and that's where the forces follow.
So when we talk, Ty, about helping these people who are right now in the conditions that are maybe not healthy for them, if we see that those conditions are healthy for them, who are we to even want to help anything? Maybe they are smarter than us, like Bushmans living in or pygmies living in Africa. Maybe they are our gurus. Maybe who are we even?
Yeah, maybe they will lose their capacity and uniqueness by us kind of putting them in a way that we think appropriate.
And actually, recently I have seen an interview, somebody coming to that. I know who is it, this Facebook guy who goes and visits different parts. Well, he asked those Bushmen, so what would you like? Would you like something different in life? Would you like to go to the city? No. We have everything we have here. No, we don't want anything. And, well, if that's the case, maybe these guys have some sort of wisdom for us to learn from. But talking about Balinese families, if they have something of an unrealized dream that actually would emanate from their soul and they're unable to get there, well, that's where we can help them to make it clearer for them. Is this a real dream, or is this something that you're mapped by Western society and you want something that's really inappropriate? That's where we can help them to hold space for them to really see what is their higher expression, and to make them aware that greed is not that. And those things, we have experienced greed, we know they don't. They're like as little kids, when they are start receiving a lot of rental payments, first trap they're gonna fall is in greed. So this is a little bit what we can maybe make it clearer for them, and those kinds of things, but small steps. Yeah.
So Miriam shares that her allergy has eased up. And it's a responsibility. Exactly. We have to have this responsibility or ability to respond to every aspect of life, however it is. And we're in this same way, we're responding to money while it's there, when it will no longer be there. Anything, we include it and we use it to the best of its potential, because the place where we stayed yesterday, it couldn't be done without quite a lot of money, but it was so worth it because of inspiration that it created for us for our next step. And so it goes around, we empower each other and inspire each other by actually demonstrating the fact that we are responsible for what's going on in our lives and every single aspect of it.
And of course, we spoke with the owner who made that beautiful place, and he did it from the pure inspiration and from that total inspiration of the soul. And that's why he is also kind of maintaining it. He just loves doing this as his creative expression. He's trained his career 3 times trying to find a next expression and all that. So that's pure joy to kind of meet people who found that inspiration to keep creating things and keep engaging with life.
So we had still Hannah's question about the timing, the timing and the answer of how, you understand that the flow is there and you're kind of in peace with that, it comes in its own rhythm. But the pressure of timing creates this little anxiety of now what. So in general, that means that something is, you have maybe missed some guideline or direction to the next way of expression or bigger expansion. So you can rewind it back and see where was a road sign that you just passed by. Where was a sort of maybe insignificant? They are not, to go from Paris to New York. There's no road sign saying New York. It says some anonymous little city first. Yeah. So you have to understand that universe speaks in such clear but subtle ways. Yeah, and rewind it back and see where and when may you have missed on opportunity or an invitation to expand in what you do or upgrade what you do. And when you find it back, you will understand that it's not about. There are cycles, of course. There are cycles of like a wave coming in and out. So that is true. And you have to accept that there are waves of income coming in and there's a moment of nothing and then again one. So it is about cycles. But if the cycle is kind of stretching or very bouncy, that means that somewhere you have missed the exit, yeah, or the turn. Mm-hmm. So rewind it back and
of course we will be happy to help you with that. So we can look at it together. Any other questions? Anything on your mind? Thank you, Miriam, for sharing. This is really feeling so good that you feel lighter about the whole topic. Yes, beautiful. We are looking forward to actually hearing how you're going to interact with it now. Mm-hmm. Yes, Anna.
Well, my conclusion is that whenever it's possible for me, like it was when I came to Bali, I will spend it on some really magnificent journey and not think about what's next. Let's say Maldives, Seychelles, or something like that. I'll do it as soon as it's possible with planes and with money, and then we'll see what happens next. next.
But
Yeah.
also tell about the expression of the gift, yeah? Not just spending that.
Well,
But to feel so good and to have those like lightened enlightened emotions, we have to, I think, sometimes see such beautiful things and feel so good inside, and then call that feeling when creating and when working. That's how I see it.
Exactly. You'll see that how you like to spend money the best is also tied to your soul's purpose somehow. For those who love traveling, they might be really good at blogging about it, or telling, or bringing some inspirations or decorations back. For me, it's incredible. My whole life, well, this what we're telling, it's not we've read 3 books. It's how we live, and how I live. And I can tell you that when I just take the car and go to see some beautiful place in Italy, or go to spa or something, seemingly in the busiest and the most inappropriate moment of the year, but when I really go for that feeling and go and grab that inspiration for myself, I can see that immediately what I have, but it's down to the exact amount, what I have paid for the price of my night stay in a hotel room immediately translates as booking in my own guest house from someone who books for that same night. It's almost hallucinating how it's directly compensated. And I say, okay, I'm on a business trip here, yeah? So all my expenses are paid because I don't actually stand on my own way by saying, but it's not the moment, but it's expensive, but I should, I should more focus. No, going for that pure inspiration, you consider that your pleasure is your business trip, it will be paid for.
Yeah, it's all. I think it's also always life changing, even for my daughter who was on Bali all of the sudden and felt that green camp experience. Now she really wants that kind of experience of school, and that kind of experience is in her life. If we didn't go there, she wouldn't even known how it feels and what it is, and so it's really life changing when you experience something so beautiful and so gorgeous in any way.
Exactly.
I think it affects everything that you do after that.
Exactly. And as life is about experiences anyway, so the more and the more colorful we have, the better. And when we allow ourselves the experience with or without money, or with little money, doesn't matter. But when we go for the experiences, well, the money will show up to back it up. And when you do it like 1 time, 2 times, 3 times consciously, you said it's a hack, it actually works. It's an algorithm. And when you hack that algorithm for yourself, well, do you understand that it's not random at all?
But consciously is a key word here, because that consciousness needs to be open to kind of always scan for the signs from the universe that are giving you clues about your expression and your next step and your expansion, and they can easily go missed if you haven't had that consciousness open and kind of waiting for them. So that's a habit, that reading into the universe speaking to us is really a habit to develop, because Bali has told you a lot while you were there, also about other things about you.
Yes, definitely.
Any other thoughts, ideas, questions?
All good. Lisa?
I think Lisa is. Yes, Lisa.
So when you're going to be doing your ceremony around money, can you include me and put me up for a really big boat that's going to get me between New Zealand and Australia without having to fly? That's the only sort of wish list that I have from from what to spend a really nice amount of money on. It's like, oh, okay. So can I, with my disdain for money and my disrespect for money, and like Anne says, you know, it's a little bit dirty, but I'd really like a fucking big boat to take me and 40 odd people backwards and forwards across the Tasman Sea, and maybe even around the world. So is there ceremony around that can release me from that kind of thing?
So Lisa,
position that I'm in.
Lisa, you're supposed to be on our Make a Wish and Make It Happen course, because this is exactly what we are doing there. Exactly what we are doing there, because what we are doing is we're clearing first that's inside of you, that's in the way, and then actually teaching you how to actually clearly want this into the universe so that it brings this back to you. Because it's amazing wish. I love that wish.
Like, you know, should I be doing it with an airplane? No, a boat's much easier. Helicopter, no. Helicopter pilot, they're nutty people. I don't want a small boat. It needs to be a large boat, you know.
Well, you know, Lisa, if with your kind of undivided attention and unique enthusiasm, you would be surprised how you can come about with that boat. And there's not only one way to get there. It's not only that you need a chunk of money to be able to buy it. You can find on a way people who already have done it, and they just want the part that you have. So if you truly kind of put this wish out, we'll separately tell you how to precisely, yeah?
I think I just need to go to the marina and choose the boat that I want and wait to meet the owner of the boat.
Including it. So that's another hack. If you really want something in your life, go and check it out. Step on that boat, look at it, feel it, touch it. If you want that fancy car, well, book a test ride or something. You really need to kind of be aware of what it is, how it feels and how it looks and how many places, and really size it to what feels good. So
like you were saying with the Balinese not being able to cope, or any, you know, these studies that they do on people that win millions of dollars in lotto and they actually end up in debt 12 months later. But you know, that's
of course
exactly,
that's it. They were not ready for it.
You know, you're repeated bankrupts. It's nothing for a repeated bankrupt. But so for the Balinese person, or that person hasn't actually tangibly stepped into that space, like you, Evia, saying that it is just within you that I need a large space. It's not even it's not even your thought board, your vision board. It's just this is how it is.
This is how it is.
Reality.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've it's almost like your idea is actually a tangible idea while it's still an idea, which the Balinese don't. You know, it's with the getting money and losing money, or being gifted something that you don't know what it is. You need to step into that space, and it's tactile.
Yeah, for Balinese, that question of bankruptcy is completely different, coming from a different place than when those businessmen told me you have to be already bankrupt in order to kind of understand that it's lightness. They're in completely different place. Yeah.
Yeah.
For them, it's devastating.
It's devastating. Yeah.
Culture doesn't allow. Yeah, it doesn't allow a lot actually for the poor Balinese.
Well, it allows for other things, you know. They have so much to learn from what they have, and the beauty is that these cultures are different. And if we, you know, we learn something from them, and then we give them humbly our lessons for, you know, but without really making them hooked on them and addicted to them, but actually, you know, finding a nice way to kind of put those cultures together, that would be something amazing. Yeah, right now it's almost like destroying the whole place because it's coming in a shape of greed.
so which actually, so you see this this whole economical crisis happening in Bali partially is the response of bankruptcy to this money that that has flowed in without, you know, without being able to be digested in a way. Yeah, so it's like a reset of huge money coming in, and now the same amount is coming out, but on a kind of national island level. So there's something to understand in this. And Lisa, you have a little tips from Eve. How can you get immediately on that boat to do night watches and and crew on crossing? So you see, immediately universe starts reacting and giving you already the steps to follow.
But the actual idea would be to go and kind of pick your size of the boat and then understand in which way you can involve some people in their transformational journey, kind of going from Australia to New Zealand or backwards, and actually do some sort of, you know, like expansion work during that travel, something like that. You know, how can this be beneficial for everyone, so that you have a lot of people wanting your wish, not just you.
You can tune fork them during the trip.
I didn't even realise that it was a need or a requirement until I was actually at my cousin's place in Wellington, and she lives in a beautiful area with beautiful marinas, and it was like, oh, a boat. Oh yeah. Okay, I think I'd like a boat. So, you know.
Exactly, but this is how it starts. And really, if you follow up,
being able to travel by plane. Oh yes, of course, a boat.
Then Ev will tell you how fun it is to go on such a long trip, because Ev has spent
one of Ev's boats.
few.
I was, you know, I need a.
Yes.
Well,
you know, with the helicopter pad.
Well,
pools.
exact, guys. So you have to dream big, but you have to go there step by step so that it doesn't crush you. The weight of your own wish doesn't crush you. So that's the thing. Dream big and go there one step at a time. So voila, that's what we had to share for today. Start dreaming, start relaxing, start purifying yourself, and really take things in your own hands, and don't be afraid. Nothing is fixed, nothing is set until you believe it is so, and from now on just have your own path and create your own laws behind.
Exactly. Do your own magic. You all hold the key of it inside of you. And we would love to join all of you. Like, invite us to your craziest dreams and we'll be there.
Oh, you want to come on my boat, you mean?
Of course. Of course. Just give us dates and we'll be there.
I'll send the captain over to pick you up.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So Anna too, so we're all already in your dream. Well, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your gratitude. We're very appreciative of your trust in us and showing up every Saturday. So it's very heartwarming. And well, let's just make it. Let's make it happen.
Exactly. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend and see you next week.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.